Welcome to Influential Sports, where passion meets precision. I'm your host Ed, and as I dive deep into the plays, players, and stories shaping the game. And let's get started. And this is a new series I'm starting on my channel called We Opp Hunting. And shout out to Jaquil for giving me this idea. But essentially, what this series is, I'll probably post 1 or 2 episodes per month across in from WWE, TNA, AEW, or any other promotion that I happen to watch. Maybe that's AAA or whatever. I'll talk about a wrestler that I think should end up becoming a champion and go on a hunt to become champion and how I will book it. So the first episode is about the Women's United States Championship and how to really tell a long-term story and build up a new contender for the title. And you see, I got 8 different women in the thumbnail, and they're all going to be used in a significant way in this storyline or in this build up. In the first episode of We Opp Hunting, some starting with WWE, episode 2 might be TNA, episode 3 might be AEW. We'll just see where it goes, but I'm gonna probably do 2 episodes every month of this series, and we'll see how it goes. But to start off, the way I start this, August 15th, I will have Kiana James cut a promo saying that Julia is going to be the greatest women's U.S. champion ever. Then you had Secret Hervis interrupt, and Chelsea Green, she was like, that's not even close to true, because I'm the greatest women's U.S. champion of all time, and nobody can change that. But I know who can be the second greatest champion of all time, being Piper Niven, as me and Alba Fire go after tag team gold. So instead of putting Chelsea Green back in the U.S. title scene, because I believe that she could be a main eventer if they actually let her win matches. But with Chelsea, I would have Alba Fire and Chelsea go after the tag titles, while Piper Niven, she's on the hunt for the U.S. title. It gives Chelsea something else to do. You still have Alba Fire competing on a consistent basis. And then you can have Piper Niven go after the title. And then that's when Jade Cargill comes out. And she's like, it's not going to happen like that, especially when I didn't beat you already. Or they had history in the Fatal 4-Way featuring her. Yeah, she beat her in the 4-Way with her, Nia Jax, and Michi, and what was a fun Fatal 4-Way match. And then the Profits, I think they beat DIY, but I think that's not the end of that. And that's just the August 15th edition of SmackDown. So what happens next week, August 22nd? You had Secret Hervis defeat Kiana James, Jade Cargill, and Julia in a 6-woman tag team match with Piper pinning Jade to get their revenge from the Fatal 4-Way in the Queen of the Ring tournament. So that's when you have Jade crash out. She's still a face in this. She's still a baby face, but she attacks Julia and Kiana James after the match. And then she makes it known that she wants that U.S. title, that she didn't even want to tag with him in the first place. Then you have Lash brag about her win on NXT versus Nia Jax, and that she wants the title based off of that. Then Nia Jax, she said it was all luck. So we'll see. You're gonna see where that leads to. But I'm hoping on NXT this Tuesday that Lash gets the win. At least that's how I would book it. Obviously, most of this probably won't happen. But if I was booking it, I would have Lash get the win, have her brag about that. But Nia Jax called it luck. August 29th episode of SmackDown, the Profits and B Fab lose to DIY with Candice LeRae pinning B Fab in the match. Then you get a backstage segment with Selena Vega saying that she wants her gold again. She want to get back to the top, being the women's U.S. champion. You have Nikki Cross and had a Wyatt 6 do a promo, and Uncle Howdy says he wants more gold in the Wyatt family, so he wants Nikki Cross to go to the Women's United States Championship. So 2 days later, August 31st, Clash in Paris. Nick Aldis, he announces an 8-woman tournament for the women's U.S. title, a #1 contender. And then Kiana James, she's like, we're ready for whoever. So they get an impromptu 2v2 tag team match against Sol Ruka and Zarya. And some of these matches for Julia might feel random, but it's just so she can be on TV consistently, and that way that she stays fresh, that she don't cause her to get injured. She can't just not wrestle the entire time. She has to wrestle at least once or twice a month. So I want to be able to do that to keep her fresh. So I will have Julia pin Sol Ruka in this match. This isn't an official call-up, but I will have Zarya turn after the match, and throughout the match, it's sleeves planted of Zarya potentially turning on Sol Ruka, making him lose. Then Zarya turns on her and she says that she's after that women's TNA title, the North American title, and always has been, and she just waited for the perfect spot. So then that's when you do that, and then you continue that story on NXT, and Zarya eventually beats Sol Ruka, but putting it on a big platform, and obviously the executive said they're high on Sol Ruka, so put her in that spotlight. Even though she'd be losing her first PLE match, the turn would be perfect. I think it could be a really well booked tag team match. And then forgot to mention the reveal of the bracket. So you got the A side, which is B Fab versus Selena Vega. You got Lash Legend versus Nia Jax, the rematch. That's on the A side. Then you got Candice LeRae versus Nikki Cross on the B side. Then you got Piper Niven versus Jade Cargill. So those are the tournament matches. So boom, September 5th edition of SmackDown. And throughout these tournament matches, Julia's going to be on commentary for every match. So maybe that's a way that she can improve her English as well. And obviously, you got Kiana James as the mouthpiece, but it'll be nice for her to still be able to tell a story through that throughout the tournament, being on commentary throughout the tournament and improving her English. So we'll see wherever that goes. The tournament starts. You have B Fab defeat Selena Vega. Mutual respect between the two, but they both want an opportunity to get gold. B Fab gets the win. I think it's a basic story, but it's all going to lead to something in the finals that makes a lot of sense. Candice LeRae, I would have her beat Nikki Cross. DIY could attack Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis 30 minutes prior to the match, then jump her on before the match starts, leaving it to just Nikki and Uncle Howdy, while DIY is them and Candice LeRae. So they had an edge, they had the advantage, they had a 3-on-2 advantage going into that, and that's how Candice LeRae ends up getting the win. September 12th edition of SmackDown, Nia Jax versus Lash Legend Part 2. Nia Jax wins, so that way it's tied 1-1, and eventually it's going to be a grudge match, which I probably won't speak on here, but I think that's a good way to tie it. Nia Jax gets the win, and she proves that she's still the irresistible force. Jade Cargill will have her defeat Piper Niven, but the Secret Herbs attack her post-match, injuring her for her match next week. Then Michin tries to make the save, whether with the friendship or mutual respect they got for each other, but that's just simply not enough. So then next week you have B Fab. September 19th SmackDown, B Fab defeats Nia Jax due to Lash Legend cutting the promo mid-match and distracting her. Then Candice LeRae defeats Jade Cargill due to her arm injury, and Candice LeRae also has her foot on the ropes, on the bottom rope, so the ref doesn't see it. So that way Jade still looks strong, and she has her arm, like I said, going into the match, so that takes away her power. September 26th, you get promo battle between Kiana James, B Fab, and Candice LeRae, building up their match, their finals match, and then Kiana James basically letting them know that whoever wins, Julia isn't losing that match. And then you have Julia do an open challenge. The Michin come out there and accept, so she wasn't in the tournament. She loses, and Julia gets a clean win. Very basic, but I think it could work. Then B Fab defeats Candice LeRae with everyone banned from ringside in the main event. So October 3rd, you get Julia and Kiana James defeating B Fab and Michin in a tag team match. And because obviously Michin, like, she got mutual connections with B Fab, with Jade Cargill, so they'll still be faces all in this equation and building up this entire story around the women's U.S. title. And then October 10th, Julia and B Fab do the contract signing. And nothing, it can end in a brawl. It could end in a brawl, or it could not. It could just end in a stare down, which I much rather prefer, end in a stare down. Then October 11th at Crown Jewel, they had a match, but that's not the end of the story, because Julia gets herself DQ'd because she's struggling with B Fab. She realizes that there's no other way for her to keep that title other than getting herself DQ'd. So that's going to lead. So B Fab's quest for the title isn't over. But October 17th on SmackDown, B Fab, Candice LeRae, and Nikki Cross, they have a triple threat match to finally settle that SummerSlam beef, which was brewing before that anyways, but you had just had B Fab get the win to keep her momentum going. And then you get Kiana James once she calls out B Fab calls out Kiana James, and she wants a match. She calls out Julia, but Kiana James comes out there, and Kiana James accepts the match, and she's gonna fight for Julia. So October 24th SmackDown, you have B Fab defeat Kiana James with Julia nowhere in sight, and some basic. Then October 31st, Julia, she returns to SmackDown, runs into the Secret Herbs, then she retains in a random match against Alba Fire. Then B Fab attacks her post-match because she feels like she's been hiding and ducking from her. So that's a good way to keep building them up. Then November 7th, Nick Aldis announces that Julia versus B Fab Part 2 is going to happen at Survivor Series War Games on November 29th. So we still got a few weeks to build. So how do we continue to build this? November 14th, a Beat the Clock challenge. Whoever wins in the shortest time they get to choose the match stipulation. So B Fab defeats Nikki Cross in 7 minutes and 38 seconds. Julia defeats Selena Vega in 7 minutes and 40 seconds. So B Fab, she wants a tables match, and Nick Aldis also bans Kiana James from ringside as B Fab won her match in 2 seconds less. than what Julia did, which is why she was able to pick the contract, pick the stipulation. November 21st, that's when the contract signing happens. No brawl, just a stare down to end it. Then November 28th, we have Kiana James attempt a backstage attack. Her and Julia, they attempt to attack B Fab backstage, but Michi and try to make the save. That way it's a 2-on-2. So that obviously Michi and B Fab aren't a team anymore, but they still got the mutual respect for each other. So it's no reason to break that away, especially when she is going to be outnumbered in this equation. And then you get to War Games, you had a tables match, and B Fab defeats Julia to become the Women's United States Champion. And I think she can get the opportunity to lose it win it technically, but not get the title due to a DQ, and you can keep building that up. I think WWE, they've struggled this year a lot with long-term stories, and I think it's not the most lengthy story. It goes from August to November, but I think it's something pretty basic that I came up with. Didn't take me too long to come up with it, but basically the stories that you have in this is Jade and Michin versus Secret Herb. Well, really Jade versus Secret Herb is Michin being involved a little bit since she has history with them. B Fab, Candice LeRae, and Nikki Cross, their feud continues. You break up Zaruka on one of your biggest events, with it being in Paris this year. It's Selena and Julia, you continue that. B Fab and Julia, then you can extend that to make it multiple championship matches. You get Kiana James wrestling a little bit, and obviously Kiana James is still gonna be a mouthpiece for the most part, but getting her to wrestle at least a little bit is still good, because you never know what can happen. So you need people available, and Julia wrestling from time to time, just keeping her on TV, I think is a good idea. Even Lash versus Nia Jax, like I said, that'll continue, and they can have their grudge match on an NXT. Maybe they'll do a arena show, and like I know they're doing a Philly show next week, but probably if they go to like New York again or something like that, that'd be a good place for them to have their grudge match, their final match. So I think I just came up with this a few days ago, but I think this is the best way to build up the women's mid-card scene. Have B Fab get a chance to win a championship, and even the people I put in the tournament, they don't look weak. Like Jade, she loses due to her being injured for an attack the previous week. Lash Legend and Nia Jax, their feud continues by them either not even having to interrupt, not even having to get involved in the match, but cutting the promo on screen to distract that person. Selena Vega on her quest to get gold back, but that's cut short in the first round. And Nikki Cross wants to bring gold to the Wyatts, but DIY, they're not rocking with that, and they want the tag team gold, so they're gonna make a statement as well. So I think this not only helps the women's, but it helps the tag team division a bit too, even with the women too, with Jade and with Chelsea Green and Alba Fire potentially going after the tag titles, and Chelsea Green believing in Piper Niven enough to say that she should be the one to go after the women's U.S. title. I think in a perfect world, this is a very good way to book B Fab to become Women's United States Champion, I think. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, from August. And then Julia's reign would end after 5 months. Then a pretty solid reign with multiple title defenses, multiple matches, and a good story, I think, overall, and some open challenges here and there. I think that could work for Julia and her character, because Julia's not going to back down from anybody. So I think that's how they should build this up. They probably won't, but I like to see B Fab get an opportunity to be a mid-card champion. I think her, Michin, Candice LeRae, they all should have a chance to be a mid-card champion. Some of the bigger women like Nia Jax, Lash, Jade, Piper, I think that's a good way to build stories within that and build them up to even be world champions. Obviously, Lash, they could have turned this into her debuting instead of having Nia Jax just come on, go down to NXT. You could have built this up and had this on the main roster, which maybe they do. It's unlikely, but I think that would have been a really cool and dope thing to do. But yeah, B Fab, she should become Women's United States Champion at Survivor Series War Games. And is it unrealistic for the women's mid-card title, for the women's U.S. title to be defended at back-to-back pay-per-views? Maybe, but this is a good way to build up the division, in my opinion. It's a tournament that has multiple stories within it, and it's going to be multiple stories told throughout the tournament. Really, no matter how you book it, or if you put different people in different matches to have them match up, I think it could work really well. I think WWE, if they did real tournaments, one-on-one tournaments, not fatal four-ways or triple threats, I think it could really work and really build up the division. But that's all I got. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment what y'all thought, and who do y'all think should be the next Women's United States Champion.